Good morning, and welcome to another of our devotionals. This one is for Thursday, and it's called Put on Your Belt and Shoes, and it's from Acts 12. The very night before Herod was going to bring him out, Peter, bound with two chains, was sleeping between two soldiers, while guards in front of the door were keeping watch over the prison. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly," and the chains fell off his wrists. The angel said to him, "Fasten your belt and put on your sandals." He did so. Then he said to him, "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." Peter went out and followed him. He did not realize that what was happening with the angel's help was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. After they had passed the first and second guard, they came before the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord, and they went outside and walked along a lane, when suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I'm sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hands of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting." This story is a reminder to us that God makes a way for the ministry that we are called to do on God's behalf. I mean, here's Peter in prison, chained between guards. I mean, there's no way he's getting out. But he escapes with the miraculous help of an angel. Even Peter thinks he's simply having a vision until he finds himself with his shoes and his belt on and solidly outside the prison gates. God makes a way even when all the facts point otherwise. The challenge for us remains to trust God's promise and God's will to make a way while chained to our current circumstances and imprisoned by forces that we can't control. Being human means that we're vulnerable, but we remember that God keeps God's promises, but always in surprising ways. God will make a way for God's ministry to continue. That's the point of this story. The lengths that God will go to make sure that the ministry continues, if that's what's supposed to happen. Many years ago, a fellow church member said something to me that's always stayed with me. And this was before I was ordained and before I was a pastor. And this particular person, I mean, she was always so full of energy and just to the point that she'd almost make you crazy when she had a project going on if you were on church staff, because she'd just call multiple times a day and was always flooding with emails and just on and on and on, to the point that you wanted to go, enough. And I just made a comment one time. I said, "I don't know where you find the energy." And this is coming from me. "I don't know where you find the energy to do all of this." And she said, "When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, there's tremendous energy in that." And that always struck me, because I think she's absolutely right. When you're doing what you've been called to do, when you're following the path you're called to be on, there's a tremendous energy pushing you forward. If you think of the Spirit being behind you, pushing you forward, keeping you going, it's not simply just coming from within yourself. A power greater than you is driving you to do what you're doing. If you think about it in those terms, it makes a lot of sense that there is a lot of energy in doing what you're called to do, in part because God's making that way clear. Plenty of people talk about, when you're in the place you're supposed to be in, everything just kind of falls into place really easily, really simply. It just falls right into place and just happens almost miraculously. And when it's not, boy, every impediment you can think of is going to be right there to get in your way. Being human means being vulnerable. Part of the issue, I think, for a lot of us is that we don't want to feel vulnerable. We don't want to feel like we're not in control. And so we have a hard time with this idea that someone else has the agenda and is pushing us forward, and that it's out of our hands. We don't necessarily like that feeling. We want to feel like we're in control. But at the same time, God is going to keep God's promises. Now, always in surprising ways, not in the ways we imagine or expect. But God will keep God's promises, always. There always seems to be a path forward, no matter what. So when I was first called to the ministry, and my family made the decision that I was going to go ahead and pursue this, got approval from session to be an inquirer, and I start looking at seminaries, and had visited a couple, and was really debating over which one to go to, Union in Richmond or Princeton. I was really struggling which one to go to. And lo and behold, in May of 2001, I got really sick. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was Mother's Day. I spent that Mother's Day at home. I didn't go to church. I stayed home and was miserable all day. Didn't feel good. Next day, still didn't feel great, but I didn't have a fever. There was nothing really wrong with me. So I had stuff to do, so I went to work. And all morning, people kept saying, "You don't look good. You really don't look good. You look so pale. Are you okay?" And I said, I don't feel good, but there's nothing really wrong with me. I said, I haven't felt this bad since the last time I was pregnant. Oh no. Went and discovered I was pregnant. So here I am at the point that I'm trying to figure out going to seminary, and I'm pregnant. Unexpectedly, we were not going to have a third child. Surprise! Hi, Kate. And there I was going, well, now what? Everything's led me up to this point that I need to go to seminary, and then all of a sudden, slam, stop. Why? Well, we were having a lot of debate and discussion about where to move, because I really didn't want to go to Richmond, and Eric really didn't want to go to New Jersey and go to Princeton, and we couldn't figure out what to do. Well, Kate decided it for us, because there was no way we were going to go. There was no way I could do seminary and be pregnant with an infant. That was not going to happen. A preschooler, okay, but an infant, no. And so we decided to figure out what to do next. And in the meantime, Union Seminary out of Richmond opened up a second campus designed specifically for people who were working and who weren't going to relocate to go to seminary. And I ended up with 4 other people. We lived in Greensboro at the time. 4 other people in Greensboro, 3 of whom went to my church as well, all going. So we used to carpool, and we used to have all kinds of fun. Going back and forth. We would meet at Starbucks at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday mornings, like waiting for them to open. We would be there. It was great. And it got so that the opening manager knew what we all wanted and would have our drinks, like go ahead and start them even before the door opened. So as soon as we walked in, she had our coffees ready. But it was a fabulous experience. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. And as soon as the path was made clear, we were going again. But I had to be ready for Union to open in Charlotte. It gave me a way to do this without having to uproot the whole family one more time. So in my case, it worked great. That was exactly what needed to happen. I wasn't quite ready for seminary in 2001, but by the fall of 2004, I was ready to roll. So God makes the way clear. God creates the path. The path gets laid out in front of us, and our job is to follow it. So when has God made a way when you thought there was no way? What ministry are you in now? What are the challenges or impediments? Have you seen God working through them? And has it been surprising? I think for all of us, it's always surprising. But I hope that this has helped with this passage for you, and I'll see you again real soon with another devotional. Bye-bye.